Hello, everyone. Welcome to the new episode in Balance Discussion Podcast. Today, I have with me Dr. Mohammad Dulal Miah. He is an associate professor in finance at College of Banking and Finance in Oman. Um, Dr. Dulal has worked in several institutions before joining College of Business and Banking and finance studies. He was with University of Niswa, and before that, actually, it was the first time I met with Dr. Dulal in American International University, Bangladesh. And quite interestingly, it was during my interview that I don't know whether you remember. You were in my interview board, and that was the first time I met. And I think that was the start of this wonderful journey and relationship. And over the years, it was a pleasure to work with you on several papers. So it is my pleasure to have you on the podcast. So I just want to ask if Dr. Dulal, you would like to share some of your thoughts on your experience on your research interests with the audience.
Hi everyone, good afternoon, and then uh, it's nice to meet you here over the virtual platform. Myself, Dr. Mohammad Dulal. Currently, I'm working as associate professor in the College of Banking and Financial Studies, Oman. Thank you, Dr. Rashid, for providing me with the opportunity to speak few words with our audience about my research and experiences. My academic training was basically in economics and finance. And my research interest is also encompassing the topics related to finance mostly, especially corporate governance and finance, corporate default risk. In the context of economics, we often do research on institutional economics, including property rights, rent seeking, etc. And in the recently also we have been focusing a lot of our projects on uh, sustainability development in terms of environmental sustainability, climate finance, and climate regulations, etc. Yeah, that's are my research
Thank you.
interests.
And that is one of the main issue that we would like to have some insight from you. And that is sustainability initiative in the context of GCC, focusing probably on Oman, because as you are already working here, living in Oman for a long time, so you will be able to give us and the audience a bit of insight what is going on as the COP conference is going on. The issue of sustainability has attracted attention. Again, it is a buzzword. Everyone is talking about uh, Donald Trump, sustainability, all these issues. So I believe that this topic and your insight will be quite valuable in terms of GCC. So let's just concentrate on this issue as we have looked at uh, different countries are coming up in other ways and they are demonstrating their initiative. I notice that Oman is also participating in the conference, and they also have opened up their stall showing their commitment to sustainability and net zero. Recently, the Ministry of Energy and Mineral, they have also announced their 2050 net zero commitments and different plans that they have to achieve. However, if we look at the profile of Oman as in terms of their emission, this is the statistics that we have in our world data that they provide this carbon emission. We can see that there is an increase consistently in terms of carbon emission and the use of different types of greenhouse gas. So how the question here is that with COP and all this commitment that is coming up across the world, how Oman is going to contribute to this challenge toward net zero transformation.
Thank you, Rashid, for your questions. It's actually a hot issue around the world. We can't neglect anymore the environmental issue because we have already stocked enough carbon in the atmosphere. And if we don't do any actions or immediate actions, it will be too late for us to actually tackle this problem, especially now, as you have mentioned currently that the COP 27 is continuing and going on in Azerbaijan, Baku, at the capital of Azerbaijan. And as far as I have kept, my eyes on the news and events, actually, I don't think it was a successful one in terms of abating carbon emissions and reducing carbon emissions in the atmosphere. Specifically, somehow, unfortunately, the tempo has changed a little bit after the US president election. And if you have noticed that the countries actually that are supposed to lead the carbon reduction initiatives, actually the top leaders of those countries are not there, unfortunately, in the Baku. So, but we hope that the things will go as we expected, and it will not break down in between, and we are not willing to go back to the fossil fuel regime. Especially, it is not going back. The issue is there is no option to go back, because the climate issue is an emerging issue, is an important issue, and we have to tackle it anyhow I should say at any cost. So the Baku, I hope that the Baku declaration at the end of the conference will be sorry, the good one, and then there will be a strategic plan, a strategic pathway how countries can actually contribute realistically and practically to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions in the atmosphere. And regarding GCC, well, as you are aware, GCC is one of the environmentally harsh regions in the world, and the land is arid. Rarely we experience any rain, and then it's dry everywhere, and then temperature is very high. The countries have to rely on energy a lot, especially for cooling things down, especially in the workplace, at home, in the transportations, and also almost everywhere you have to rely on energy for cooling or reducing the temperature, natural temperature, and it consumes a lot of energy. And considering this area, the harsh environment, and for any, I should say, for any adverse climate change, GCC countries are going to face an adverse consequences without doubt. So it is an emerging issue and also an immense issue for GCC countries to find a way out and collaborate with the developed countries to find a way, strategic way and practical and actionable way to reduce the carbon emission in the atmosphere, because carbon emission is a global issue. It does not actually contain to any specific area, but some areas actually are affected severely compared to others. And I should say the GCC countries are much more vulnerable than many countries in the world. So it is an emerging issue for them. It is an urgent issue for them, and they should also collaborate with the developed countries to reduce or mitigate the effects of carbon emission. And coming to the Oman issue, Oman is one of the GCC countries, and although it is the geographically located near the sea, but the common traits for other GCC countries remain same for Oman as well. So Oman has to also collaborate with other GCC countries, with the global developed countries to come up with any solutions for managing this carbon emission.
So the issue that we would like to continue discussing with Dr. Dulal is that what initiatives have you witnessed in Oman that is related to this net zero transformation?
Okay, thank you, Dr. Rashid. Well, as I mentioned earlier, the Oman is a very, I want to say, the very aware country as to how the carbon emission can be reduced to a significant extent. And it basically aligns its strategic goal of carbon mitigation to the Paris Agreement. Let me just highlight some basic key aspects of Paris Agreement. At COP 2021, which was held in December in 2015 in Paris, actually the parties to the UNFCCC reached a landmark agreements to combat climate change and to accelerate and intensify the actions and investments needed for sustainable low carbon futures. So to achieve that, actually the central theme or the central emphasis was to given to strengthen the global response to the threat of climate change. And on that, the key aspect was to keep the global temperature rise well below the 2 degree Celsius above the pre-industrial level. So actually by this century, the Paris Agreement stresses that the country should struggle or strive to keep the rise of carbon emissions less than 2 degree Celsius compared to the pre-industrial level. And this is a landmark, what to say, the target, and all countries must comply or try to achieve that target. And I think the Oman is not out of that the cycle. Oman is also a participating countries. It ratified this Paris Climate Agreement on April 2019. So it is actually it has its national vision, Oman Vision 2050, especially for net zero, Oman Net Zero Vision 2050. And it has aligned its national net carbon reduction target with that of the Paris Climate Agreement. So I should say that the Paris Climate Agreement is nicely aligned with Oman Vision 2040 is the national vision, and also has Oman has target to reduce the to make net zero carbon by 2050. As of 2021, Oman's net emissions was approximately 90 metric ton carbon dioxide equivalent, 90 metric ton carbon dioxide equivalent. And basically 5 factors: industry, oil and gas, power, transport, and construction industries contributed around 90% of that net emissions.
Yeah, yeah,
And as you are aware, Dr. Rashid, the GCC countries are mostly relying on petrol or hydrocarbon products for their economy. Major part of their GDP growth is coming from the hydrocarbon products, and their major export. You can say a lion's share of their export is coming from hydrocarbon export. So they rely a lot on the hydrocarbon products and related products. So that's why this oil and gas and power and these sectors are expected to, taking into consideration the economic structure, contribute to the emission. So 95% of the emissions are coming from this industry, oil and gas, power, transport, and building and construction sectors. Now, if this trend continues, it is expected that Oman is set to increase the emissions by 16% to 104 metric ton carbon dioxide equivalent by 2050. So it means it has to start reducing the current trend of carbon emissions if it wants to reach a net zero in 2050. So Oman has planned an orderly transition. It has a vision 2040, and that vision 2040 spells clearly in detail how it wants to achieve phase-wise in the next 25 years to reach net zero. So it aims to decarbonize actually, which accounts for 6% by 2030 and 54% by 2040 relative to 2021 emissions. And it has six key tools to achieve that target. They are actually called the energy and resource efficiency. So because, as I mentioned earlier, they rely heavily on hydrocarbon products, so they want to ensure that the desired efficiency is achieved in energy sector and resource extraction cases. Also, the electrifications and renewables, it is another target sector for Oman's strategy to reach net zero by 2050. Actually, as I mentioned also in my introduction, that this region is very hot. The temperature reaches well above 40 in most of the times in summer. So it uses a lot of energy. It consumes a lot of electricity and other energy. So the 2050 net zero vision relies on how Oman can actually bring efficiency in electricity use, and how the traditional fossil fuel based energy supply is replaced by renewables. So it has been working on this area, especially in two prongs. On the one hand, how to efficiently use the energy on the one hand, and on the other hand, how to increase the share of renewables in the total energy consumption. And third sector is actually they are aiming at to start the energy production from the battery and electric technology. I mean, they want to introduce this system, especially generating energy from the battery and other electric equipments. And nowadays, Oman is preparing itself to import electric vehicles, which is actually considered more cleaner than the traditional, the diesel or petrol-based vehicles or so it has been seen in the last couple of years that Oman is actually preparing its refueling stations with an options of electric charging systems. It is not quite common phenomena here in Oman. It is actually kind of a new phenomenon. So it has been preparing itself to reduce the carbon emission by reducing the reliance on fossil-based energy consumption. And also, Oman is also looking at sustainable hydrogen, like green hydrogen. It is actually having some collaborations with other GCC countries to how to initiate this green hydrogen productions and storage and everything. So this is considered another important area for Oman to reach net zero by 2050. And also they're trying to capture the carbon that has already been stocked in the atmosphere in different ways. For example, by forestations and by doing other such kind of initiatives to capture the already emitted carbons in the atmosphere. And also they are trying to have some kind of storage and negative emission solutions along with the other 5 categories. So it is expected that these 6 sectors combined can contribute to 90% of the carbon reduction by 2050. Dr. Rashid.
Thank you. That was wonderful. I was just listening as getting so much insight on I like the way you discuss that it is a phased approach, because when you look at certain media and news, it looks like there is like this 2050 plan and there is limited information on how they are going to achieve. Now, when I'm listening to you, it looks like okay, this phase approach is more realistic. So I just picked up few points that I would like to discuss a bit more. For example, let's just ask, as you said that Oman is actually looking at using electric cars. So which country actually they are favoring when it comes to electric car import in Oman?
Well, this is still at the initial phase of for electric car in Oman. Currently, we see some Tesla car all around,
Okay.
but the number is not very significant. So actually, Oman, as you knew, Oman is it doesn't like to jump on something abruptly. It actually learns from other industry leaders in other countries, and then it actually accepts what is best for the economy, for the people, and for the country. So I think Oman currently is now observing actually the which countries car on which brands car, I mean, electric vehicles will be more sustainable and more environmental friendly and more energy efficient. So it is actually they are still their policy is wait and see for the
Okay.
time being.
That's wonderful. Okay. So the next thing I was just thinking that because of a country with economy that relies on oil export, and so you have the economic development, your economy, which is developed depending on this oil and gas export, and at the same time you are also committing toward this decarbonization. So, uh, do you think that they are trying to balance it by going heavily toward the renewable energy? And is this a sustainable way to balance the impact between economy and decarbonization? What do you think? And how positive is this approach?
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Rashid. It's a very, yes, it's very pressing issue. On the one hand, actually, the countries are heavily relying on hydrocarbon products. On the other hand, they aim to decarbonize the economy. So sometimes it apparently seems they're conflicting, and absolutely it is true. And that comes as a major challenge for especially this the major oil producing and exporting countries like Oman. So as you rightly mentioned that uh, how to tackle this conflict in between, I mean, in two objectives. Well, uh, what Oman set forth is uh, the first priority it has giving on the economic diversification. The country is trying to reduce its reliance on hydrocarbon products significantly year on year basis. So on the one hand, it is trying to diversify its economy to reduce reliance on hydrocarbon products. On the other hand, the country is trying to introduce the environmental friendly technologies on the whatever fossil based activities are going on now. And the Oman Vision 2040 has clearly set the guidelines that the country is trying to introduce renewable energies in all aspects of the economy. So it is trying to bring energy efficiency on the one hand, and also trying to replace the fossil based fuel on the renewable. So although apparently it seems that the reliance on hydrocarbon and net zero emission is conflicting, but Oman is oil prepared for this conflict, and they are trying to mitigate the reliance on hydrocarbon on the one hand by economic diversification. For example, it has been promoting its tourism industry. You know, Oman is naturally beautiful country. It doesn't have much man-made or artificial kinds of I mean the heritage or kind of what to say tourist attractions. It has natural beauty. So Oman is trying to actually promote its natural I mean what to say the natural beauty and natural ambience to the tourists. So tourism industry has been put a priority sector in Oman. And second, also it is trying to, trying to promote its real estate sector and promote, develop its financial sector. Apparently it is trying, and significantly to reduce the reliance on hydrocarbon products, and also whatever reliance it has on hydrocarbon products, it is trying to gradually replace with renewables. So that is how actually Oman is trying to phase out the carbon emissions and reach net zero by 2050.
Okay. As you were saying about the tourism, because whenever here in UK we see in the ad, it's mostly Abu Dhabi, Qatar and Dubai. We don't see that much promotion in terms of tourism. Yeah, come to Oman, get that experience. So probably in future we are going to see a little bit more promotion, as you are saying. They are transitioning toward that
Yeah,
part.
you are right, Dr. Rashid. You are right. Actually, compared to its neighboring countries like especially Dubai and other countries, the Oman's tourism promotion is not to that extent. As I
Okay.
mentioned earlier, one thing is actually Oman has a lot of natural beauties.
Okay.
Contrasting to other neighboring countries which has man-made things or artificial things, but Oman has its natural beauty, and it is trying to actually use this natural beauty and tourism as a soft what to say tools for economic development. So yes, I should also urge and feel the necessity that Oman should actually put more efforts to promote its natural beauty and other heritage for the tourist home and abroad. Yes.
We will have a little bit of discussion on financial aspect a little bit end of this session. So let's just have a look at some other issues that I was thinking that I just want to have your insight. So you have already discussed a lot about this approach that Oman and their regulators and policymakers have toward net zero transformation. And I understand that there are many things going on, and they're actually going to apply a lot of different strategies. So what do you think is going to be the major challenge in achieving
Yeah.
the 2050? What will be the main challenge for Oman?
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Rashid. And I should say that it looks very fancy that we reach net zero by 2050. It's look fancy and it looks very attractive. At the same time, it is very, very challenging. The challenging is because it does not rely only on the government, that overnight government makes some rules and then everything has changed by instantly. It is not like this. Uh, the the carbon emission is actually a man-made things. I mean human created things. I mean my behavior, my activities throughout the day is actually causing increasing or decreasing the carbon. So it is actually the total population but together that has to put efforts to mitigate the carbon and reach the net zero by 2050. Well, I should say the challenge is everywhere, especially the people awareness, because we have to reach to the grassroots level, to the each individual level to make it happen. So Oman is trying actually to educate its people. Throughout by creating awareness and other different kinds of programs to at least that the people will play their part, play their role to mitigate the carbon emissions and to reach the target. And on the other side is coming the industrial side. As you know, the industries are the major player of carbon emission. So it is the industrial side that is very difficult to implement this net zero emission target. But still, I should say that the countries are ready. The challenges will come from in multi fronts in regards to industry. Well, one thing is that Oman doesn't have mega industry, as you know. Mostly it imports almost everything from other countries, so it doesn't have mega industry. However, it has some small and medium scale enterprises, and quite remarkable sector is the small and medium size enterprises. And those enterprises are currently, of course, relying on fossil-based fuel energy and etc. So it depends on actually how these sectors are cooperating with the government's regulations, and how government is providing alternatives to fossil-based fuels or energy to this industry. Okay, so I should say there is no net zero economy for Oman without SMEs transitioning to net zero, and there these SMEs face challenge in hindering, of course, their decarbonization journey, including high cost, because this because as I mentioned, this industry relies on a lot of imported goods and then energy consumption because of the natural system of the country, the very hot climate, temperate climate, and so the energy consumption is high. So the overall the cost of transitioning to the net zero will be pretty high at the beginning. However, uh, the providing financial support to address these challenges will definitely one of the sweet spot, I should say. So government is ready. Oman government is ready with all its tools with its hands to help all these industries, and then that they cooperate and they gradually phased out their reliance on fossil-based fuels, and they will transit to the cleaner energy, and then meet the targets in 2050. So the challenges are there, but the country is aware about those challenges.
Yeah, so I think these are going to be the two dimension. That is, how do you make the public or bring the public on board on this journey to be, because as you said, I agree that it's us individuals who actually play a significant role, because if we don't change and we don't demand environmental friendly product, the companies who are producing those products, they are not going to deliver those things, because uh, there are always investments involved. Whenever you talk, if it is an SME, they face a huge challenge, because for them it is not always easy to continue and ensure that they become sustainable financially. So if we are giving them additional challenge to transform to net zero and use or not use fossil fuel, it is a challenge. So I just want to, at this point, first ask, is there any initiative in Oman to promote this sustainability agenda in the individual public set, like for the public, that if you use renewable, or are there enough options available for the people to actually go for sustainable products, organic products, go for energy efficiency? Have you noticed people are moving toward that practice, or it's that people are going with the normal process with all this regular technology, regular way of doing things?
Thank you, Rashad. It's a good question, and then of course it's important for reaching the net zero. Well, the number one point you mentioned, like whether they are aware and they are about, willing to buy the organic products. Well, I should say Oman is a little bit lacking behind, especially in this regard, in terms of organic products. We don't see much organic products around our shelves in the shopping mall, and then I should say the alternative or the choice is not much for the consumers in Oman. As I mentioned earlier, like most of the products are imported from outside. So the widespread use of organic products is not actually to that level, I should say. Mentionable level, though the scattered examples are around. So this side is not yet, I should say, the mentionable level. On the other hand, the public awareness, the government and community is actually are actually taking a lot of initiatives to aware people about their about their carbon footprints. For example, always it is mentioned everywhere in the national media, print and electronic media. We always see that the government is urging people to take care about their carbon footprints, like for example using energy only that when it is necessary, and then try to use as little as possible and try to use it efficiently, and there is no wastage, and there is no overuse of energy. So these things are all around, these vibes are all around, especially from the government side and from the community side. And we have seen many community initiatives regarding awareing people about the carbon footprint. For example, the cleaning the environment, cleaning the beaches, and then not polluting the environment, or not throwing things inefficiently or unplanned. So these things are all there. And another thing is, you mentioned, are there a lot of alternatives? Well, I don't see a lot of alternatives there, but they have started. For example, the traffic signals, the lights in the traffic signals are actually operated through the solar panel. In
Okay.
most cases, it is still, I should say, it is still on the experimental basis, but I have seen in the town, in the city all around, that in the traffic signal there are some solar panels, and they are producing energy for the traffic lights. So these things have been started, I should say. And but nowadays, I should say, the mentionable progress in the company or industry side is that the offices are much more energy efficient compared to a few years back. Especially the new constructions and new offices equipments are made such that they use less energy, less resources. So they are I mean, these things are all around, and it is there. Thank you.
That's wonderful to hear, because that's how the transformation actually starts. And as people start to realize that, okay, they have all these options, that will encourage, I hope, that people toward this net zero transformation, because we all need to contribute at the end of the day. I was thinking that in this process, do you think the universities that you have in Oman, are they joining to this drive, or can they participate, or can they do anything to make people aware or educate people toward sustainable practices, sustainable transformation?
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Rashid. You have brought a very important point, actually, how the higher educational institutions can take part in government's drive to reach net carbon, especially in Oman by 2050. Well, yes, the universities actually have a great role to play, I should say, especially the young people are all around there at the university level. And if the universities can actually what to say the put the idea on the young people's mind that we should take care of our planet. Simple. If we can just uh, uh, struck on their mind these keywords that we should take care of our planet, and it have a great revolutionary kind of effect, because these today's students are actually the future leader. So if they actually learn at their young age that should behave environmentally, not only themselves, actually they should ask or request everyone, or motivate everyone to behave environmentally, and that will have a great impact in the future. So universities are trying on that front, I should say. Many universities in Oman and higher education institutions in Oman have programs addressing environmental sustainability. They have separate programs, especially the flagships universities. They have program on environmental sustainability, resource economics, renewable and sustainable energy programs. These programs are all there. Or also the other programs, they have their curricula, their programs designed, putting some contents and some elements that address actually the environmental issues in. So universities have a lot to do, and I have seen already that they are trying from their part to to take part in the national initiatives to reach a net zero in 2050. And also one important responsibility to the university is to do research about this, because how the people will be aware, it depends on how the universities are producing the information, and also disseminating this information to the individuals. This is quite important, because if I don't know the things happening around me, I will not be aware it's true. So the universities are the research centers, and they are doing a lot of research. And I should say that the research here are two kinds that can play a significant role. One is actually they are producing the information about the environment, about the pollution, about the carbon emissions, about the different informations they're producing and disseminating with the society. So the society knows that who or what sector is responsible for producing most carbon, and how to mitigate this trend. On the other hand, the universities are producing the industry or the society best practice, who are actually putting a huge effort to reduce the carbon in the country, so the people can follow them. This is one hand. On the second hand, industry has the resources and the capacity and skills to innovate cutting edge technologies actually that will be environmental friendly, that will replace the traditional the polluting what to say the technologies. The clean technologies should come actually from the research centers, from the university, and I should say that there should be a very strong collaborations between industry and the universities to make it happen.
Yeah, I do agree, Dr. Dulal, that this is a very important point that you raised because this collaboration, there is no alternative to these two coming together. We have the research centers from the higher education institution, any of the industry. Once they collaborate, the outcome actually becomes more valuable for the policymakers. Otherwise, when they are just going on their own way, sometimes we are not addressing the practical issues. We sometimes the universities they focus on exploring the theoretical aspects, which sometimes does not make that much impact when it comes to that application or solution. So policymakers are not really interested to looking at what the universities are able to offer in terms of research. So it's nice to see that collaborations are happening, and we wish to see more and more research coming out that giving us case studies on good practices, innovative solutions toward tackling pollution, emission, all these things. So uh, we are at the end of this session. We would like to now focus specifically, and one of your special area of interest is the financing aspects. So that is again one of the key theme of COP this time is the finance, how to raise funds to tackle this emission. So what role have you seen the financial institutions, especially banks, are playing in Oman or in GCC if we just take the GCC sector as a whole? So what initiatives or innovations that you have seen the banks or the financial institution has taken toward
Uh,
sustainability?
yeah, thank you, Dr. Rashid. Well, we earlier mentioned about the role of university or higher education institutions in reducing the carbon footprint in the economy, and of course, at the same time, the industry and has a lot of role to play, especially the financial sector. The financial sector, well, there is a common perception that financial institutions are not the polluter. Actually, they are very clean, clean industry, and then they are not involved with any fractions or manufacturing. So they are actually in very clean industry. I agree. Apparently, it seems that they are in a very clean industry and they are not polluting the environment too much. Yes, of course, compared to the manufacturing or industries, actually, they are not polluting to that extent. However, they have a great role to play when it comes to decarbonizing the economy. I should say that the financial sector has a significant role and an enormous role to play in decarbonizing the industry and in the economy. For example, let's say you can see it in two different perspectives. On the one hand, they should practice the financial institutions practice for them as a net or to say absorbent or net what to say negative carbon emitter. They should capture more carbon than they emit. How is it possible? Well, because the financial institutions are providing only services, so they should strategize or they should formulate their services so that they consume very less energy, and the energy they consume are actually produced by themselves in different ways. Especially, I have seen nowadays the many the financial institutions, particularly banks, are actually closing their the outlets, physical outlets, instead of that they are actually they have installed the different kind of like ATM and CDM. Well, so this actually reduces the carbon emission. At the same time, they have to try that these CDM and ATMs are not actually energy inefficient. They are energy efficient, and they produce less energy, and they give a lot of options to the customers that reduces the carbon footprint. For example, it can ask, do you need a receipt? The customer can choose not. So
Yeah.
it simple steps, but it actually reduces the carbon footprint. Similarly, they themselves can put a lot of effort for to become a net zero by themselves. And the most important part relies on their financing. For example, they are financing the industries, so they can play an important role in financing clean and sustainable sectors. For example, let's say when they provide financing for housing purpose, then they can have some different kinds of the pricing, loan pricing. For example, if the housing project is environmental friendly or energy efficient or reducing carbon or different, I mean, it is environmentally sustainable, then maybe they can price the loan a little bit lower at a concessional rate than actually the regular loans. So it will encourage the borrowers to focus on how to make environmental friendly, let's say, house or whatever, constructions, offices, and everything. Also, they can think of financing, for example, auto loans. They can think of financing if the automobile they are using or they're going to use is environmental friendly or carbon efficient mitigating vehicles or energy efficient vehicles. Maybe they can provide concessional rate for this kind of borrowers. And also on the opposite side, if it is, for example, the borrowers of high polluting industry, they can price, because pollution is always expensive for not maybe for the polluters, but for the society. So there should be at the cost of that. There should be at the cost of that. There should not be a free ride, or there should not be a transfer of the transfer of negative externality to the society. So when the borrowers from all those polluting industries are coming for loan and financial support, then bank should actually make them aware that because of your role to pollute the environment, we have to price you higher. And then it will make them more aware, and it will make them more environmentally efficient or more aware about consuming the energy in the future. So it has the financial institutions has a great role to play. And the third aspect is actually without finance, you can't find a clean energy. Without finance, you can't decarbonize the economy. So different sectors, it can be private sectors, it can be government sectors, it can be individual level. Actually, decarbonizing needs financing. So the financial institutions can play a great role actually financing those carbon reducing or carbon mitigating projects, carbon capturing projects. And yes, maybe sometimes at a concessional rate, or sometimes making a partnership, PPP, public-private partnership, or public and private together. They can come up and finance those clean tech projects and environmental sustainable projects, or those initiatives that aim to reduce the carbon at the atmosphere. Dr. Rashid.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Dulal. It was like when I was listening to you and you were saying those solutions, it looks so practical, but I don't see them in practice. You see, like, well, it looks practical that when you look at pollution-based industries, you can give them, you can ask them to pay a little bit higher. When somebody wants to go for energy efficient housing or industry, they can get a concession, but it doesn't happen in practice. The banks actually sometimes they charge more by saying that there are some additional expenses they have to go through to validate, or there are some issues related with sustainability assurance, so many other rules and regulations, and then regulators are not also going for that direction. They are just letting the financial institution decide still which which way they want to play, what type of role. they will play. So in Oman, you have a dual banking system as you have conventional and Islamic banks. I was thinking that whether their initial, like Islamic banks have uh, played any part or introduced any type of products or any type of initiatives toward offering sustainable finance or any other sort of loans for SMEs who are promoting or trying to take this net zero transformation or sustainability. Has Islamic finance or banks taken any steps in GCC or Oman?
Thank you, Dr. Rashid. Well, the Islamic banking history in Oman is comparatively a new one, especially the first Islamic bank in Oman was established in 2013.
Okay,
So compared to other GCC countries, it was very late for Islamic banks to start its move in Oman. So in that respect, the Islamic banking industry is not that huge. We have two full-fledged Islamic banks, and of course, other conventional banks are Islamic banking windows. And as far as I remember, according to latest statistics, the Islamic banking financial assets in Oman constituted about 20% of the total financial sector assets. So Islamic banking comparatively playing a minor role in Oman. So in that sense, I should say that their initiatives are not that much discernible or that much visible. However, I didn't see any separate initiatives from the Islamic Bank to actually promote sustainability or environmental initiatives separately, but it is on their Sharia governance, on their ethical aspects, on their community service or social service aspects. It is there,
okay,
but there is no specific products which Islam Bank is offering for particularly on that regard. I don't see. And well, as you mentioned at the beginning, like there are a lot of possibilities, but we don't see that they are coming. Especially the government sometimes remain silent in terms of asking the financial institutions to act strongly upon reducing carbon emission. It's true. I think it is it was the reality of the past. But I think nowadays actually it should not be like this, and it will not be like this, because earlier people somehow actually tried to avoid the responsibilities, but now we have come to a point that no more we can ignore the environmental crisis, not neither individual nor the society. Everybody must recognize it is a pressing issue. There is no denying about this fact. So even though in the past it had that the government is not strongly voicing against financial institutions giving loans for polluting or carbon emitting industries, but now the government has changed its rules gradually. For example, it is asking banks not to provide loans for importing cars after a certain period of time. I mean, for example, how how many years old car you can import. So the older cars are actually more polluting, and the newer
yeah,
cars are more sustainable. So these kind of things are coming. Maybe in the past we didn't see, but it has started coming, and then in the future it will be the reality. Especially what I like to highlight is that uh, nobody likes to take the leading roles, because the leading roles will be always standing alone, because the carbon emission is at this point in time is not a level playing field, especially those who are actually playing the roles, greater roles for mitigating carbon emissions. Maybe they think in business sense they are behind, because the others are not doing the same. So when the field is not level, it is difficult for somebody to leap forward, to leap forward. I mean, it is difficult. So I think that's why the government should initiate some rules that will make the level playing fields for everyone. Especially we have seen in Oman very recently, a few months back, actually they have the Central Bank of Oman provided the sustainability guidelines for banks, and it is
okay,
the first. It is the
okay,
first one. So I think until 2025, it is the voluntary. They will try to comply with these regulations, and from 26 onwards it is mandatory. So this is a great initiatives coming. So I should say that in the past things were not there properly, but now it has the things have started coming. Dr.
Yeah,
Rashid.
I agree. Like when I keep thinking like 15, 12 years back, whenever it came to the discussion in research communities or in policy decision, the issues related with carbon emission or pollution, it always went back to manufacturing sector. And everybody was saying, okay, banks, financial institutions, they don't emit any carbon in atmosphere, so they are not supposed to be in this policy decision. But nowadays, we can see that that way of thinking has changed. And as we see in the COP also, and for the other parts of the world, and more regulations or policy decisions from central banks are coming for banking sector and financial sector because they actually are one of the key of this puzzle. Actually, they don't contribute, and actually they have a unique relationship with like
The industry, with the
with the industry.
society. Exactly.
Yeah. So they
Exactly.
have
I agree.
to play a wider role. And I can, like, after listening to you today, I can get a very good picture what the future uh, that we will see from the GCC. It's going to change drastically. The steps have already have started, and that is one of the main issue that we just need to take the steps and slowly. This is a issue. It's not going to be resolved within a day. We just need to take the steps. And I can see so many
Exactly.
things happening what we are not always aware because as you are living there, you are studying, you are teaching, you are doing research, you have a wide range of knowledge of things happening. So thanks a lot for sharing with us, with the audience, and everyone who will be listening or watching this later.
It was
Uh,
my pleasure, Dr. Rashid.
and anybody who is watching, if you have any query, any question for Dr. Dulal, you can just put in the chat comments box, and I think that Dr. Dulal will be happy to respond to any of those
My pleasure.
comments.
My
So
pleasure.
I think we had a lot of insights for today, and hopefully we will be able to invite you to do that in future because it's always a pleasure listening to you. I just was sitting and listening, and I was thinking, okay, there are so many things happening we are not aware of, and sometimes we just having this perception that okay, in GCC they're producing oil. That's it. That's the general perception. We keep on thinking that okay, they are not really doing anything in terms of sustainability. But now we know that so many things are happening, and maybe in 10 years' time, we will be able to see a different version of Oman, hopefully.
We expect that actually.
Mm.
We hope that we are going to that direction.
Okay. So with that, I would like to end this episode of Balanced Discussion. I hope everybody enjoyed listening to the excellent insights from Dr. Dulal. So I would like to say goodbye and have a
Thank you,
nice day.
Dr. Rashid, for inviting me. It was my pleasure to share my experience and